Thursday morning, September 19th, 2019. And last night, if you were watching baseball, then you had a great night. Some games were pitching duels, like that Oakland-Kansas City game we're going to talk about. Some games scored over 20 runs. We'll touch on it briefly, but it was Baltimore and Toronto. So today, what's on our plate? Well, let's find out. Welcome, everybody, to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Kevin Hastings, you did a fantastic job filling in for Lenny this morning. Those are big shoes to fill. I did it yesterday, but you did a great job. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much. You always do a super job. And Kevin's show is on in the afternoon. So, guys, go to that chat room in the afternoons and tune in. You will always get a great show. So, good morning, everybody. Let's talk about some of the action from last night. The Astros, first team to 100 wins. They beat the Rangers last night 3-2. In that game, of course, Garrett Cole, and a lot of time was spent on Garrett Cole this morning by Kevin, so I'm not going to go through all that again. But Garrett Cole, a free agent to be, over 300 strikeouts now for the season. You got to say that of all the major league pitchers, Garrett Cole has probably had consistently this year the best season. And now going into the playoffs, I just got a feeling the Astros are going to let him have a little bit of a rest, somewhat of a respite until the playoffs start. But a great outing last night for Cole and the Astros. The bats, maybe not so potent as they have been, but potent enough, scoring those 3 runs. Let's talk about it briefly. Of course, Cole, with the 10 strikeouts last night, he's now 18-5. His ERA sits at 2.61. Osuna gets his 35th save. Batting-wise, Springer nothing, Brantley nothing. Alvarez 2 for 4. Now, we talked about this, I think it was Tuesday night on our show, and that was Chaplin and I. Where does Jordan Alvarez get drafted next year? If you are drafting, let's do an order, okay? Do we agree on the top 3? We may not agree. Here's my top 3 or top 4. Let's do a top 4 in no particular order. Do you agree with this? Acuna, Trout, Bellinger, and Yelich. Are they your top 4? They're my top 4. And then it's a matter of who comes after, We got a change in weather here in North Carolina. I woke up this morning, it was 54 degrees. It's not been 54 degrees since like 2017. And so it's a little chilly this morning. All right, but they're my top 4. Who's your next pick? Who comes in before Jordan Alvarez? And I'm being really serious. I mean, do you pick Freddie Freeman before Alvarez, or do you pick Alvarez before Freeman? How many home runs do you think Alvarez will hit next year? I just think in my drafting, I'm probably going Jordan Alvarez number 5 next year in drafts. No joke. I like Acuna better. I like the other 3 big boys better, Trout, Yelich, Bellinger. But right there with them is Jordan Alvarez. And don't be surprised if next year Jordan Alvarez outperforms all of them. Now, I don't see him going number 1 in a pick. He's not going to steal you bases like a Acuna will. And he's not going to steal you bases like a Yelich will. But he's going to hit, and he's going to hit some more. 2 for 4 last night. Yuli Gurriel, back healthy, 2 for 3. His average now up to 304. What a great year for Gurriel. He also hit his 30th homer. Altuve hit his 29th. Altuve hitting 301. For the longest time, he was below 300. Now he's above it. He's going to finish above 300 for the year. He's going to get his 30 home runs. Is he your most valuable player in the American League? There's so many candidates on this Astros team, aren't there? Springer hitting 291. I just said Altuve. Brantley hitting 318. Bregman hitting 295. Alvarez hitting 318. Gurriel hitting 304. Kyle Tucker started last night. He's hitting 295. There's no rest for the weary when you're pitching against this Astros team. None. They beat the Rangers 3-2. For the Rangers, Willie Calhoun continues to have a great breakout year, 2 for 4. Kobe Allard went 5 innings, gave up only 2 runs. Great outing. but not enough. Houston wins 3-2. Let's talk about some more games. The Yankees having a chance to keep pace with Houston last night, but they couldn't do it. They lose last night 3-2 to the Angels in the Bronx. Bard gets the win. Ottavino gets the loss. Robles gets his 22nd save. We look at the box score this morning. LeMahieu 1 for 3. Judge 1 for 4. Judge did go long. His 24th home run. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and the conversation was this. Brett Gardner has 25 homers. Judge has 23. Who finishes the regular season, with more? Well, it's got to be Aaron Judge. Come on. You know it's got to be Aaron Judge. He hits one last night. He's averaged up to 269. The Yankees can only muster 2 runs. CC Sabathia off the IL. He starts, goes 2 2/3, gives up 2 runs, strikes out 4. Herman comes in relief, pitches through the 5th, shutout up to the 5th. Ottavino comes in the 6th, give up the run, and that's the game winner or game loser. Ottavino falls to 6-5. Canely, Green, Britton, and Sessa hold serve. The Yankees can't score, however. Peters started the game for the Angels. Went 4 innings, gave up 2 runs, but from the 5th inning on, the Yankees only had 1 hit. Bard 3 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. Boutre, 23rd hold, and Robles his 22nd save. Yankees lose. Oh, come on, Yankees. 3-2 to the Angels. Let's look at the standings this morning. We talked about the records of the Yankees and the Astros. We look at it this morning. Houston sits at 153. The Yankees sit at 99-54. So as of today, Houston has the best record. Only, 9 games left to play. So it's a race to the finish. But I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. Oakland sits there as the number 1 wild card. If Oakland wins the wild card, would you rather face Oakland or Minnesota? I'll take Minnesota. So I'm not really huge on best record in the American League. Oakland scares me. I went through reasons why yesterday. I won't do it again today. But Oakland they've got it all. They've got power. They've got some speed. They've got pitching. They've got a heck of a bullpen. Looking at the wild card in the American League, which is the critical thing, 3 teams for 2 spots, right? Oakland leads the wild card by 2 games over Tampa. Tampa wins last night in L.A., a game they really needed to win. They went 8-7. We're going to talk about that in some detail in a moment. Dramatic game. Cleveland, they win last night 2-1 over the Tigers. Clevenger pitches tonight at 7:15 against Detroit. But they win last night, so it's Oakland by 2 over Tampa. Tampa by a half a game over Cleveland for that wild card. Let's give a little discussion, if you will, to that game last night with Tampa Bay. In Los Angeles, they fight back. Okay, they lost Tuesday to the Dodgers, and on Tuesday after the loss, Tommy Pham talked about there being an urgency to win games. He said, quote, "We've got to win. We've got to play that right now is important. You never know when you'll be in this situation again." That's all a quote from Tommy Pham. Okay? They were behind in the 9th, but they had a 9th inning rally last night. Austin Meadows' solo home run in the 11th propelled the Rays to an 8-7 dramatic win over the Dodgers on Wednesday night in Chavez Ravine. Kevin Cash said afterwards, "It's big." No joke. It's huge. These were the games that Tampa had to at least show up. They had to at least win one. And they did that. Cash went on to say, "We were playing on the West Coast, so you recognize that Oakland had a game day. We saw they walked off Kansas City and Cleveland. Obviously, watching that, it looked like they walked off Detroit. So we need to find a way, and we did. It's going to go down to the wire, but it's nice when the other 2 teams you're competing with win. It's really nice when we win." That's the key. Yesterday, all 3 wild card contenders win their games. Okay? So, big win for the Rays. The Rays were staring at a 3rd possible consecutive defeat and the chance of falling behind the Indians in the American League wild card standings. But Tampa rallied against the Dodger closer Kenley Jansen. came on to win. Now, different story, different scenario wild card wise in the National League, whereas all three wild card teams in the American League, they win yesterday and last night. Well, not so in the National League. They all lose. Washington loses to the Cardinals 5-1. The Cubs, they lose to the Reds 3-2, and it just seems like the Reds have the Cubs' number this year. I'm telling you. Yeah, Yuli, go back to Phil Chaplin. Yuli is having a career year at age 35. What a Renaissance man he is, Phil Chaplin, right? And the Milwaukee Brewers lose. So Washington loses, the Cubs lose, the Brewers lose, the Phillies win, and the Mets win. I only bring that up because when you get to within 3 games of a spot, I consider that you are a contender. This morning, the Phillies and Mets are both 3 games out of the second wild card. And I warned you a week ago, I still bring it up. Washington has a tough end of the season schedule. They close the last 3 games with Cleveland. Cleveland's fighting for their playoff life, and they're pretty good. Washington only has a 1.5 game lead in that wild card. There are 3 teams within a 1.5 game. I like the Nats, but it's not a cakewalk. It's not an automatic. The Cubs, the Brewers, the Nats, and now the Phillies and the Mets. The Phillies, let's start with them. They beat the Braves last night, 4-1. And in that game, Bryce Harper, we've talked about Bryce Harper all year having a down year. He had a 2-run homer last night. Let's take a look at Harper. He's hitting .255. He's got 32 home runs. He stole his 14th base last night. He now has 104 RBIs. What a season. I mean, you're not going to get a batting average out of Harper anymore. He's not going to hit 320 again. 255, 260, that's what he is. And it's what he's doing. 100 RBIs, that's what he's doing. Over 30 home runs, that's what he's done. 14 stolen bases. Yeah, you like a few more, but that's what he can give you. Out of that 3-hole in Philadelphia. Zach Eflin went 7 shutout innings. Alvarez got his 15th hold. And how about Neris? I mean, he comes on and gets his 28th save last night. How many guys out there drafted Hector Neris this year? Probably no one. He's there by necessity. Robertson goes out for the year. Now he's the closer by default. And what a great season he's having. For the Braves, Acuna goes 2 for 4. The Braves only had 5 hits. Albies had a hit. Markakis had a hit. Joyce had a hit. That was it. No extra base hits. Julio Teheran went 5 innings, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts, gave up those 2 home runs. Braves lose. Phillies win. Only 3 games out in the wild card. Padres, Brewers. Padres win 2-1 in Milwaukee last night. Pitchers duel. Brewers can only muster 3 hits. Keston Hiura, 17th home run, the only run. Hauser goes 5, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Bullpen holds after that, but it's not enough because the bats can't wake up, and why not? Did you check out Lamette's numbers last night for San Diego? 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 14 strikeouts. 14. He threw 98 pitches. Wingate came in and got a hold. Stammen got his 30th hold. And Kirby Yates got his 41st save of the year. Only 1 home run, Mahias Bream hit his first of the year, the shortstop. San Diego holds on in a pitching duel, 2-1. The Brewers could have taken over that second spot but they were losing. But meanwhile, the Cubs were losing too. And did you check out Amir Garrett and his controversial strikeout of Kyle Schwarber last night? Okay, so let's give you the scenario. Chaplain, I know you're there with me, and I appreciate all the stats. I love it. You were there with me. You were watching the game. I know that. So, strikeout by Sorry, I just lost you for a moment. I think I'm back. If I went out, I'm sorry. I have a little bit of a problem there. Amir Garrett on the mound. He's closing out the eighth inning. Kyle Schwarber's at bat, and he strikes him out. So Garrett goes into this celebratory, pumping his fist and yelling out loud. Well, Kyle Schwarber took exception. But instead of charging the batter and making a big scene, I guess he learned from the Pittsburgh Pirate incident early in the year. Garrett runs off the mound, runs to the dugout, tries to get away from Kyle Schwarber, and the game goes on. Iglesias gets his 33rd save. The Reds, Suarez. Okay, let's talk about Suarez a moment. And Suarez, in one of my leagues, he was cut in June because he wasn't hitting. And I picked him up as a free agent waiver, all right? And he has absolutely been a mauler ever since. 48 home runs. Okay, will Suarez get to 50? I think so. And let's talk about Suarez. Where do you draft him next year? Is he a second rounder? Is he a third rounder? Let's also talk about where do you pick him up in terms of other third basemen. I think he's a top 3 third baseman. I think you draft him over Josh Donaldson, who's had a great year, but let's face it, Donaldson is on the back end of some great seasons. Which third baseman? You probably pick Devers over him. And let's talk about Devers briefly. Even though the Red Sox are no longer playoff relevant, fantasy relevant, Rafael Devers is killing it. Now he has over 50 doubles and over 30 home runs. A 30-50 club you don't see very often. And Devers is there. So I like Devers more than I like Suarez. I like, of course, Arenado more than I like Suarez. But other than that, I'm hard-pressed to find another third baseman that I like more than Suarez. I might like others as much. Good morning, Corona Cyclone. It's good to see you in the chat room this morning, friend. But Suarez having a great year, and you got to acknowledge he's in a hitting park second to none. So kudos to Suarez. Kudos to the Reds. They knock off the Cubs 3-2. As I said, the Brewers lose, the Cubs lose, and the Nats lose. So the wild card stays pat. Now, I want to look at some games for today because there's a huge game. There are a couple of what I think are huge games going on today and continuing through the weekend. All right. Today's game, starting today, going through the weekend, the Cardinals are in Wrigley Field playing the Cubs. Today, it's Jack Flaherty, who has been lights out Cy Young ever since the 1st of August. He's pitching in Chicago against Kyle Hendricks. This is must-see TV. Now, I know tonight at 7 o'clock, Phil Chaplin is doing his football show, and you got to tune into that because it's going to be freaking awesome, okay? But turn on the Cub-Cardinal game, hit your DVR, hit record, start it off, and as soon as you finish hearing Chappie at 8 or whenever he signs off, then go back and watch this game. I think it just reeks of great pitching. It reeks of high drama. I got to watch it. I can't wait. I'm not even a Cubs or Cardinal fan like some of us out in the chat room are, and I can't wait to see this game. That's one series. Here's another game tonight that I think, and not necessarily from but one team's perspective, but the Phillies are in Atlanta taking on the Braves, Aaron Nola, and Mike Soroka. That's what you got tonight. And this, again, the Phillies are 3 games out of that second wild card. Nola is their man. He is their ace. And this is a must-win game. Guys, we're down to 9 games. When you get to under double digits, every at-bat, every pitch is critical. Nola needs a big outing tonight. He's 12-5. Soroka's 12-4. This is another must-see game. It's at 12:10 today. And as I look at our chat room schedule, there's nothing to interfere watching this game on our schedule. I don't know that there will be any shows that aren't scheduled, but the next scheduled chat is Chappie's Football Chat at 7 tonight after my show. So, at 12:10 today, you need to be glued into the Braves and the Phillies, and see how that game goes. There's some other afternoon games. Mariners at the Pirates at 12:35, Kikuchi and Musgrove. Giants at the Red Sox at 1:05, Bumgarner and Rodriguez. The Padres and Brewers at 4:10, Lucchesi and Lyles. The Blue Jays and Orioles at 7:05, Font and Yanoa. Tigers, Indians, we talked about earlier. Royals and Twins at 7:40 tonight, Montgomery and Gibson. And the Angels, Yankees, that's the 6:35 game. Guys, I'm struggling this morning. I don't know if you can tell, but my voice is shot. I'm going to have a short show today. I just can't get it out. So I'm glad I have no show tonight. I don't know what's going on. I got some kind of sinus infection or something, but I want to thank you for being in the chat room and for being with me for the short time I'm here. It's been a little bit of a struggle just talking, but I'm getting it out. Probably don't even sound like myself. I sound like some Wolfman Jack or something probably this morning. At any rate, thank you guys. Hope everybody has a great day. Go watch some baseball. Remember, Phil Chaplin, Chappie's Football Chat tonight at 7, Fantasy Fisticuffs Football at 11. Tune in for those. I'll talk to you soon. This is Arnie from Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports.